Views and opinions of any of the guests of After Hours AM are not necessarily the views and opinions of After Hours AM, its hosts, its staff, or any of its affiliates.
Welcome to the After Hours program.
Are you ready?
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Now broadcasting live from the After Hours AM studio, Joel Sturgis and Eric Olsen.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to After Hours AM, and I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, and right along with me is the beautiful man of the East.
Well, the upper Midwest.
Well, that is right, yeah.
You're the upper Midwest.
I am.
Eastern upper Midwest.
You are.
Yes,
you
Eric
are.
Olsen, by the way.
The reason why I bring that up is because the story off air about seeing video cameras when you're chatting and you're not ready to do that. And
yes,
next thing you know,
Skype. That's how we get such astonishing sound quality.
Yes, yeah.
But as most of you know, when you use Skype, you have the option to use video. And of course, if you're talking to your family or whatever, and I talk to my son and daughter-in-law and new grandchildren in Finland,
sure.
Of course I want to see them.
That's
obviously.
right. Yeah.
But we don't even think about it when we're doing the show. We don't use video. So
no, we just talk.
I was talking for the first time off air via Skype with Dr. Clarissa Cole, and we both had the camera on. We about freaked each other out. Oh, my God, you're there. Oh, no, that's what you look like.
Oh my God. I wish I would have been more prepared.
And you're moving and stuff.
Yeah, and stuff. Yeah.
You're not frozen.
No, you're not frozen in time. Well, anyhow, we got a great show on tap tonight, Eric. Who do we got, man? I know it's a kind of a departure from what we normally do, and that's kind of a breath of fresh air.
It really is. I'm very excited about it because, man, with all that's going on in the world right now, we really could use some positive energy. And that is what our guest, Dr. Edwige Bingue, is all about. Her book is You're Not Crazy, Your Awakening Journey to Discovering Your Soul Purpose, Joy, and Abundant Life. And man, I want all those things.
I do too. Hey, that's weird because I want the exact same thing. So that'll be the top of next hour. Maybe we'll feel better when we're done. We'll go, because life has been, well, for all of us, turbulent as far as the country goes. So we all could use just a minute of going, okay, I'll be all right. Everything will be just fine. Yeah, that whole thing.
It is a turbulent time, that is for sure. And I know we don't want to get into a bunch of political stuff because, man, it's just too much. Yeah. But I just found this. One thing I'm just going to toss out there super quick because I just found this amazing. All right, you know how serious bookmakers are, right? The odds makers, they don't care about morality.
Nope.
They don't care about politics.
Nope. I asked Vito one time.
They don't care about anything at all other than what is the bottom line?
Yep.
Who's going to win, or what is the result going to be? And we're going to stake odds on it. That's all they care about, period, bottom line.
That's what their life's
All right.
dedicated to.
Guess what's going on with the current presidency?
Okay, what is the bookmaker saying about the current presidency?
Bookmakers in general, this is a consensus of bookmakers, okay?
Yes.
He will not last a year in office.
How many? What's the odds? I mean, is it like 20-1, 10-1? Did they give that?
It keeps changing. It's different at different places.
Okay.
But the consensus overall is the odds are against. So think about that. I mean, has that ever happened before? It's not like, okay, Watergate just happened. Now, what are the odds that Nixon will stay in office for a year? No. He just came into office.
He
He's
did.
only been in a freaking week.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, have we ever had a president like this before? So,
Well, not exactly.
you know, so it's interesting how it unfolds, and you know,
So think about that, though. How
I would-
freakish is that?
I would put money on that boy, I want to say they're wrong. I do.
Well, you'd
because-
like to think they're wrong. How disruptive will that be?
Yeah, because, you know, what's good for the country or what's good for the president's good for the country, and if we have a good president, he makes everything better. You know, that whole thing. He's like
Exactly.
He's
I
like the
agree.
pilot in the airplane that we're in.
I agree.
You know, we don't want to crash into those mountains over there. So we
No.
hope he's competent and he can do his job to the best of his ability.
And the other thing is you don't want a big void
No.
at the top of the government. You don't want a big hole sitting there.
No, you don't need a giant hole just sitting there.
That would be bad.
That would be very, very bad. That would be
So,
horrendously bad.
regardless of how anyone, really, seriously, no matter how you feel about him personally, I mean, it's at best, it will be extremely disruptive.
It will be.
He does not last a year in office. Think
Well,
about it.
Mike Pence will be our president at that point.
It is crazy go nuts.
Yeah, it is crazy go nuts. Speaking of crazy go nuts, now have you been following the Oscars at all?
Yes.
Now, this year it's way more diverse. Because
Very
remember,
diverse.
last year it was, they were protesting that it wasn't diverse enough. The Oscars, of course.
Oscars so white.
Yep, exactly. And so a lot of folks ended up boycotting the Oscars. But there's a whole new list of nominees and best pictures. But these are the best pictures. These are the nominated best pictures. And I don't think I've seen any of these yet.
There's
but,
a ton of them.
There
too. There's
is a lot.
9 of them.
Yeah, you have The Arrival, and then you have Fences. I haven't seen either one of those. I do hear they're both really good. Hacksaw Ridge, which is a Clint Eastwood film, he's back in the Oscar hunt. Hell or High Water, which I haven't seen yet, but I have every intention of doing so. My calendar's just been crazy. Hidden Figures, I hadn't even heard of this movie until...
Yeah, I do know that one.
Okay.
I haven't seen it, but I know it. Yeah.
And La La Land, I had heard of it, but I'm not a musical guy. I don't like...
And that is a musical, an old-fashioned musical.
Yeah. Do you like musicals? Are you kind of a musical fan, or do you steer away from them?
It really depends.
Yeah.
I like, if I'm in the mood to hear the music, then yeah. But if
Okay.
I'm watching it as a movie, it doesn't really hold together much with reality, your
Yeah.
typical musical,
Yeah.
There are musicals I love. There are others that a lot of people love that I don't.
Sure.
I have to be in the mood. Let's put it that way.
Well, the last musical I actually sat through was This Is Spinal Tap. I mean, that's how long it's been for me.
Oh my God.
That's the last one I actually could sit there and go, yeah, because I tried to watch that. What was that called? The one with Tom Cruise in it? Oh, Rock of Ages. I tried to sit through that movie.
Is that even a musical?
Oh, well, yeah, they sing all those old
I guess.
school
Yeah,
rock
you're right,
songs and da-da-da. I thought it was horrible.
Yeah.
I thought it was horrible. I was like, oh my God, this is the most horrific thing. And then Tom Cruise trying to sing and dance was even worse. I'm just saying. But that was Spinal Tap. That was the last one I could tell you that I sat through and I really liked it.
That was a while ago.
That was a long time ago because concert movies don't really count. Like AC/DC Live, stuff like
that's
that.
different.
So that's
I
a
agree.
whole different animal. Manchester by the Sea, I've heard a lot of good things about that movie. That's also nominated.
That's actually an Amazon movie. Did you know that?
They're the ones that produced that, huh? Amazon?
Yeah, it was made and originally aired or streamed, I guess, on Amazon. That's a big deal for them.
Have you noticed a trend now where a lot of these streaming services are actually taking over in a lot of ways from the big dog movie makers?
They're doing very well. I think it's because they can get away with there's more freedom, or at least there's more perceived freedom, and there's more flexibility, as far as format goes and how they approach things. And, it's cool. It's very interesting to see. Netflix really created the revolution in streaming, but now Amazon's part of it, Hulu's part of it. There's a number of other sites. Those are the big ones.
I
keep getting pitches. I keep getting press releases from these outlets, from these channels, whatever you want to call them. I've never even heard of. They just keep making new ones.
There's a good one out there that I stumbled upon if you own a Roku. It's called Tube It. It's free. It's completely free, and they actually have mainstream box office movies for free. The only catch is you have to sit through a commercial every now and again. But they are free, so it's something you could sign in and watch. And I think everything from Fargo to you name it, they got mainstream movies. So if you can't afford it, if you don't want to pay for it, that is an alternative to the old Netflix or Amazon or Hulu. I do subscribe to Netflix and Hulu. I do not do Amazon, but I do the other two.
Well, I have Amazon. I just don't ever use it because I'm not really typically sitting in front of my computer watching things unless it's something I have to watch, like for the show, for example. I mean, if I'm watching something, I'm watching it on the big TV.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't have a streaming device that goes to your big TV?
Yeah, we do. But I don't like our problem with that. Yes, we do. We have Netflix. And actually have Netflix on two different TVs because we have Apple TV, so you get
a Roku, man. Get a Roku box.
Well, we got the Apple TV anyway, which is essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I can't do because of I don't want to go into it. It's just way too boring.
Sure.
But just because of hookup situations, I can't get the audio quality.
Gotcha.
I can only play the sound out of the TV. I can't hook it up to my sound system.
Gotcha.
When I watch anything via the Apple TV device, which would include Netflix and iTunes and anything else, that is streaming, we can't use the sound system. So that's the problem.
Yeah, and when you can't use that, say I'm on those 1,000-watt surround sounds like you do, great big Sony system. You miss it so much if you can't use it. It takes away from the movie.
You know what I really miss? Well, besides the actual distribution of sound via the surround, like you just said, but what I really miss is the low end, the subwoofer.
Yeah,
I gotta get my bass.
The power, baby, the power.
Sounds so thin when you're even if you have a reasonably good speaker system in your TV, which we do, but there's no subwoofer in it.
No, it's just made for watching the news basically and TV shows, not for big production movies. Okay, the last one to round it up is a show called Moonlight. A movie called Moonlight is your last nominee for Best Picture. I mean, it's very diverse, very diverse. Yeah. I mean, Denzel Washington's back in the hunt, by the way.
Yep.
Let's see. You have right now. You have Jeff Bridges is actually in the hunt as well for Hell and High Water. You have Lucas Hedges. He is Manchester by the Sea. And then I'm looking for, now what is Nocturnal Animals? Is that a movie or I've not heard of this? Okay.
It is. It's one of those kind of noir.
Okay, gotcha.
Getting involved with the wrong people. Everything's dark. And
okay. Michael Shannon is in that, and he is nominated.
He's good. I always like him.
The best leading role, and I realize this is a little bit boring, but a lot of people love the Oscars. A lot of people love the Oscars. I gotta say, I pay attention to the Oscars as well. I really do because I like to hear who's winning. But this is, and I'll get done here, and we'll be done in this section of the Oscars. But actors in a leading role is Casey Affleck, and I do believe that's Ben's brother, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay,
younger brother.
Yep. Andrew Garfield, Hacksaw Ridge, Ryan Gosling, La La Land. Viggo Mortensen. I haven't seen anything with Viggo in it for a long time. I did see a really depressing movie about the end of the world with him and Charlize Theron in it, and he's basically wandering with his kid. It's on Netflix. I forget the name of it, but man, it was the most depressing thing ever. I mean, ever.
Well, you know, a lot of depressing movies get nominated. You know that.
Yeah, they do. It seems. Okay, one last, and that's Denzel Washington for Fences. I see no horror movies here. I see no action movies.
You're never going to see that.
No action movies.
Not never, but rare. Well, that Hell or High Water's action.
Yeah, I guess that's the most action of the bunch. But you never see a horror movie ever nominated. I would have thought.
Once in a while,
once a blue moon,
often.
you got to have something like The Exorcist or something that really comes in and knocks their socks off, in order for them to even, or them to even pay attention. Like I was thinking for sure that something like, what was I going to say? Would have made it in. That was actually a really good scary movie. It's on the tip of my tongue. The Conjuring series. They've never even been no nod to them at all ever. And
it's whole categories tend to be excluded. The other thing is, I just saw a chart, I think yesterday on this. Unlike at times in the past, and it kind of goes in cycles, I guess. But for many years now, since going back all the way to, I think maybe it was the early 00s, I think The Lord of the Rings, I think Return of the King was the last one. But all the movies that have been nominated for Best Picture ever since then, so, 15, 16 years now, are all low box office movies.
I've noticed that.
No big box office movies, no blockbusters. So if you make too much money, if you're too funny, if you're too scary, or if you have too much action, you're out.
Is it basically the awards for the ugly kids? Like a participation award?
Kind of.
It's
art. It's art, Joel. It's all art.
It's all art. We know you're gimpy and you're weakling, but here you go. Because I've noticed that none of the big blockbusters are ever nominated in any way.
No, it's been a long, long time.
It
So,
really has.
fantasy, adventure, none of them. They get some, Star Wars and whatnot. They get technical awards, they get makeup, they get stuff like that.
No
Once
Billy
in a while,
Bob Thornton for Bad Santa? Come on. I thought he was great in Bad Santa series of movies.
Well, Bad Santa 2.
Yeah.
That one didn't do so super great.
No, I'd say I haven't seen that one yet. The second, but the
haven't
first one was great. I love that first one. I thought it was hilarious as all hell.
Well, it undermined the feeling of the season.
Well, it did. It did. It made the rest of us. That's really how the rest of us feel, Eric. It's just like Bad Santa. Oh yeah. No, I'm kidding. But that is your Oscar nomination.
I need even more enlightenment and cheeriness now.
You just need something a little pick me up now. Well, I do have in the old hopper. I have some stupid news for you.
Well, whip it on us.
Well,
man, there's plenty of it out there.
Get this: Nacho Bandit, who inadvertently set fire to a bar, gets sentenced.
Well, all right.
Okay.
What happened?
Okay, here we go. Okay. You got Coley Granger, 22 years old, of El Jepo, wherever that is, resident, who drunkenly set fire to an Aspen sports bar while making nachos, was sentenced to 3 years of community service Monday for an unrelated crime that they... He was served sentence concurrently with community corrections term and received for the nacho incident. It doesn't even tell us what he got for the nachos. The Aspen Daily News reports that Granger, nacho guest, began after including 40 ounces. Okay, here we go. He drank, get this, 40 ounces of Jägermeister and 16 beers.
Wow. Well, unless he weighs 900 pounds.
Oh, my Lord, that's a lot of Jäger beer.
That's just way too much.
Well, evidently underneath the nacho cheese, they kept what they call a sterno can to keep it warm.
Ah, yes.
A sterno can, of course, if anyone that's ever been to a wedding has seen them, they sit under there, they have a little blue flame that sits there, keeps stuff warm. Knocking over the sterno can set the bar ablaze. And then, of course, he tried to escape police, but everyone saw who he was. He was too drunk to make it out of the parking lot, it says.
Well, man, I can't believe he stood up.
Getting hungry. There's just no way I could do that much Yag. I don't mind Jägermeister once in a while. I really don't.
No, I don't mind the taste.
You
of,
know,
of all that kind of, awful liqueur, that one's not bad.
Yeah, well, get this. Obese airline writes, Canada court rules the obese have a right to have 2 seats in the airplane.
Without paying for it?
Oh, well, let's read into this. There's got to be more to this story. November 20th. Obese people have the right. This is November 20th last year. This is a little bit behind here in the little news feed. People in Canada, like all Canadian airlines, have the right to 2 seats for the price of 1 on a flight within Canada. The Supreme Court of Canada ruled Thursday that obesity is not a choice. It's an affliction.
Oh, my.
They call them functionally disabled by obesity.
Ugh.
And they deserve to have 2 seats to accommodate their disability.
Without paying for it?
Without paying for it.
Yowza.
Okay,
Imagine how our current president would feel about that.
Well, yeah, especially if they're female. He'd be all over that. The airlines had lost an appeal at the federal level, of course, federal court, their Supreme Court, that would stop the obese from claiming discrimination because of their disability, which, of course, is Canadian High Court, did not agree with them at all. So if you're in Canada and you like to eat a lot of brats and beer and stuff, it's supposed to be Labatt's Blue over there, Labatt's Blue, then you too can get 2 seats for the price of 1.
That's amazing. I mean, sure, I would agree that you should have access. You should be able to fly. You should not be denied. But let's face it, if you can't physically fit within the allotted space, and believe me, you don't have to be all that big to feel pretty tight. Having just flown, halfway around the world, or at least about a third of the way around the world, I felt pretty pinched, and I'm narrow. Believe me, I'm a narrow individual.
Yeah, you're pretty.
I
fit
felt
guy.
pretty tight.
Pretty
tight.
You got a guy or gal that gets on the airplane that weighs 300 pounds.
And that's not that unusual anymore.
No, that's not. I mean, have you seen some of the monsters that we're breeding now, these kids? Some of them are just big because they're beefy, because they're tall and big.
Yep.
That seems to be the norm. But, 300 pounds is actually pretty normal now. Okay, but to give someone 2 seats claiming that they're disabled and using the disability card when it's not disability, you just keep putting crap in your mouth. You just keep eating. You could lose weight if you wanted to.
Of course, this is an age-old issue. And yes, there's clearly other factors, hereditary factors, there's psychological factors, there's biological factors, etc. I know, I'm aware of that. I've heard it all. I'm sensitive to it. But ultimately, the bottom line is how much and what do you eat and how much exercise do you get? That's it.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
That doesn't mean the other factors aren't there, and it doesn't mean they aren't important. They are important, and I am sympathetic. But ultimately, it's literally it's mechanical, right?
Yes.
What goes in?
Well, exactly, and that's the thing that I'm not understanding is, let's use a little common sense here. Obesity is not a disability; it is a choice. For most folks.
Again, it's there's a gray area.
I'm chubby.
I wouldn't put it quite that black and white, but certainly, let me put it this way. I mostly I agree with you. I'm trying to be a little more sympathetic here, because I've heard this my whole life. Well, you can't comment on that. You don't have that problem. You can eat anything you want, blah, blah, blah. You never gain any weight, blah, blah, blah. And actually, it's not really true. I mean, it was true in my earlier years. I pretty much could eat or drink anything and didn't gain weight. Yeah. But like anyone else, as you get older, it gets harder and harder to
I'm
keep
chubby,
the weight
man.
Off.
I'm chubby. I am. I'm not in the greatest shape in the world. But, I think that nutrition, goes a long way. I mean, and how you take care of yourself will determine also, there's an old saying, your lifestyle determines your death style. Do you really want to die being fat?
I agree with you. I'm completely in agreement that ultimately it's a cause and effect thing, and what goes in your mouth and how much is number one, and number two is how much exercise do you get. Yeah. Everything else is really just an influence, right?
Yes.
Those are the facts. That's the objective part.
But if you want to be obese, that's your business. That truly
is. Of course.
But
yes.
when it impacts others, that's what becomes their business. Yeah, I mean...
you know what it's very much like? It's like smoking, right?
Yeah.
It's your business until it impacts other people.
Yep, exactly. One more story here. We have Barnegat, New Jersey. It's the case of the non-existent ninja.
Uh-oh.
Public schools in Barnegat were locked down briefly after someone reported seeing a ninja running through the woods behind the elementary school.
You know what he was doing? He was looking for the clowns.
It turns out the ninja was actually a camp counselor dressed in black karate garb and carrying a plastic sword. It gets better. It gets better. Police were dispatched to the woods, tasing the ninja.
It couldn't get in a word edgewise, I guess.
Well, yeah, the police tell the Asbury Park Press the man was late to a costume-themed day at the nearby middle school.
And he was dashing
through the woods. Someone called the cops, and they tased him because he tried to run from police. They claim he tried to run from the police. I think they just wanted to tase a ninja. That we could say, we tased a ninja.
What they
really
want to do is tase a counselor.
Yeah, write that in the paperwork. We got a ninja today. That's right. That's how good we are. The lockdown began shortly after 9 a.m. Wednesday and lasted till 9:30. And so they were in the woods hunting down a fake ninja with a plastic sword. Police do stress he did not pose a danger to the public. But
I guess not.
Why'd you tase him? If he didn't, I mean,
we were testing the device.
By the way,
gotta periodically make sure it worked.
Yeah, he wasn't dangerous, but I'll tell you what, I got this new taser in the mail, and I just couldn't help myself.
I mean, come on, what the heck, right?
Yeah, why not? We'll tase the ninja. Maybe running around in the back of a school in the woods dressed as a ninja with a plastic sword that they do say looks somewhat realistic was not the greatest move on his part.
Maybe not.
You know
what I keep when you're describing all this, I visualize my high school, good old Chagrin Falls High School, and we had woods, really on kind of all on three sides. So in the back and on either side of the school. So really, it was only the front of the school that was free of woods. So. Yeah. Like in biology class, we'd go off and walk through the woods and have to pick out what the trees were and all this. So I'm picturing this ninja traipsing through the woods behind my school, biology class walking through. And here's a maple, and here's an oak, and here's a ninja.
A ninja. I wonder if he made the noises as he ran, the sound effects. Yeah, exactly. So the police come again. They
you have disgraced your family name. You have disgraced your family.
Yes. You must now take matters into your own hands. You have disgraced the order.
Honor calls for it, or you must die.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, you must die now, or get tased. Take your pick.
It's a crazy world.
It is a very crazy world, but that is one of the crazier stories this week, and. Again, I am very sympathetic. I just don't want to leave this hanging out there because I don't want to get nasty emails. I'm very sympathetic to people that are obese. That in no way was a dig on my part. I am chubby myself. I totally sympathize with what's going on, but do I believe that it should be an affliction that impacts others? No. But that being said, we're all only human beings after all. And that's
none of us are perfect.
Yep, exactly.
Who are we to judge?
Exactly. But we got to get out of here. But that's your Oscar nominations, your crappy news for this week, and we'll be right back with America's Most Haunted Headlines right after this. Anavar Media LCC is a dedicated team of professionals committed to helping business development scale and protect their websites, mobile applications, enterprise software solutions in the Northeast Ohio area. Locally owned since 2012, our client-centered values truly sets Anavar apart. Contact us today to learn how you can get 25% off your first project. Call them at 234-380-4852. Again, that's 234-380-4852, or visit them at www.anavar.com. Again, that's www.anavar.com.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's your ideas, work, and creativity that make it your yard. At ACE, we're here to help with hoses and sprinklers to nurture growth, gardening tools for the shape of good things to come, even the right fertilizer and bug killers to make the grass a little greener. You'll find it all now at ACE, your place, with everything you need for your yard, plus helpful advice, almost like we're right there. ACE,
the helpful place.
Do you have a question for our guest tonight? Don't feel like calling the show? Not a problem. Email those questions to afterhoursam@gmail.com. Again, that's afterhoursam@gmail.com.
And now, the final crowning touch to this cake. Take a bite. Chocolate.
And welcome back to After Hours AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, and Eric Tankeray. Olsen.
Lolita and
Oh, that's what it was. Sorry. I totally botched that one. Go ahead. And with me, as always,
Lolita and Tankeray. No, it's Eric Olsen.
Ah, yes, I missed the Beavis and Butthead show.
I do too.
It was good.
And they had that one season where it came back.
I know. It was like a little tease.
About what, 5 years ago?
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
And it was so great. It was so fun, and the animation was so much better.
Yep.
And it was contemporary, and that was it.
Then they just
One
left.
season, it was gone again.
It was just gone. Just gone.
Unbelievable.
But if you guys are on your computers that are listening, either over at TuneIn Radio or any of the other locations, or better yet, our website, go on over to Twitter and check out AM Haunted. And you too can follow along with these great headlines. You're not going to want to miss them.
Man, oh man, you are not going to want to miss them. And while you're there, you might as well follow us. Join the 448,000 others of you.
That's right.
And, of course, you can retweet or you can favorite or you can just say hi. You know, once we're following each other, we can chat.
That's right. We can.
All right,
be
so
one.
let's check it out. It's the paranormal news.
Coming at you.
All right. Now, do you read comics ever?
I
It's
do
like a
sometimes.
big industry now, you know.
I
graphic-
do. Graphic novels is what they're called these days. But once in a blue moon, what's going on in the world of comics?
Well, you know, one of the big growth aspects of the comics industry is horror.
Oh, yeah.
And we got so many TV shows now that come from the comics. I mean,
We do.
And movies, obviously.
Yeah.
We know that. With the Marvel and the DC, but you know, even lesser known brands have TV shows. You know, like iZombie is, I think, is from Image.
Yep.
So Image, which I guess does quite a bit of horror, has a new one coming out. I thought the picture was hilarious. First of all,
Redneck.
but the description is funny too. It tastes like chicken.
It tastes just like chicken.
Peaceful vampire family runs a barbecue joint in a small southern town in the new Redneck comic series.
Wow.
But of course, their peaceful existence is going to be rocked and all hell's going to break loose.
Well, it has to. I mean, it would not be fun just watching them.
No one wants to hear about peaceful vampires.
No, or slinging ribs. You know, no one wants to hear about them serving up a plate of pulled pork. You know, we want to see them go crazy.
We want them to get all mixed up in crazy,
That's right.
go nuts, human vampire nonsense. So that's coming out in, I believe, April. It's called Redneck. So you got a new horror comic series. Check it out. It doesn't look dissimilar to a cover, other than the fangs, I guess, to a cover of, say, The Walking Dead.
No, that's what I thought right away. I thought you were going to say zombies. Redneck zombies or something. But no,
you got to see the fangs in order to know.
Yep, I just caught the fangs right there in the image, and hey, it'd be cool to check out. I just don't know. A lot of the comics now seem to be rushed out there in hopes that they'll turn into something big later.
There's a glut. Like so many other things, there is a glut. There are too many TV shows. You know, this is the era, peak TV they're calling it, something like, what was it, 450, I think we said, scripted. That doesn't even include all the non-scripted shows. Scripted TV shows available this last season.
Yeah.
And they're saying it's just going to keep going up. You know, eventually,
and then,
you would think, though it's a bubble, it's got to be a bubble. There's only so many eyeballs, and there's so many hours in the day.
Well, yeah, and then they'll just create more channels to go, to hold these things.
Can you watch more than one at a time?
The average individual, when we did that show, remember a couple years ago we did the Future TV? One of the points they made is the average cable viewer religiously only views about 10 channels.
Right.
That's really about it.
Yep.
So the rest of them don't even go watched. So,
it is amazing. It really is. That all of this is out there. I remember when it started, and there started to be more channels and cable, and it's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And we can all follow our niches. Well, that's what's happened. It's gotten so nichey that there's no critical mass anymore, unless it's, the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, exactly. You're absolutely correct. There's nothing anymore that's huge.
It captures the general public's attention, other than really major sports events, really major political events.
Yeah.
And a handful of other things, and really that's it.
About The Walking Dead,
along.
that does it. But yeah, that's about it. Yep, moving along.
One of the things I just love to cover is weird travel, because this is a weird world. I am telling you.
It's a really weird world.
Check out France's transparent bubble hotel. I don't know if you can call that a hotel.
No, I mean, imagine the honeymoon suite. Yes, I am looking.
It looks like a bouncy castle.
It does. Kind of looks like an igloo to me. I was thinking, wow, is that a clear igloo?
It's the shape. So all it is, it's inflated.
Yeah.
It's completely transparent. And the whole point is you can reside in the middle of, this is out in the wilderness, I guess, or relatively. It's out in nature. And so you can watch nature 360 degrees, and nature can watch you, my friends.
Wow. Can you imagine how hot it would get inside that clear bubble?
With the sunshine. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, my God. They're showing the picture of the sun just beating down on. Oh, my God. I'd die.
They do say it is climate controlled.
Oh,
however.
well, that is good to know. That is
And it's soundproof.
There's no shades. That way, if you want to, have some privacy, I don't see window shades.
No. There is no privacy.
So it's you could truly be naked and afraid.
Yeah, absolutely. And their whole point is, what they're pushing is you watch nature. But what they don't add is nature watches you.
or a creepy guy with binoculars.
Exactly. It's not like, all right, I don't think it's a secret anymore where these
No.
There's several of these.
It's co-ed. It's co-ed weekend down at the Bubble Farm.
All righty, so that's in France, the Bubble Hotel. All right, love this next one. Doesn't that look like a painting? It just
does.
Looks so astonishing.
So many of these space pictures are just
they're just
unreal.
Overwhelming. Okay, so this one we're actually seeing a star being born in the Orion Nebula, and these are brand new. This is a brand new satellite that is taking pictures even better than ever now. Now we're getting clearer and deeper and with higher resolution than ever before. And there's a bunch of new images that have just come through. It really is pretty amazing.
It was funny because I was talking to an astronomer friend of mine that I know, and we were talking about the space stuff that we do on the show and stuff like that. He informed me that when you're looking at a star, that was 1 million years ago.
Or more.
Because the light takes that long to get here.
It may be 1 billion.
Yeah, we were talking. He says, you realize that star is probably dead by now. I said, what?
It could be.
He says, yes, because that light takes 1 million years, our years, on average, to reach us from far reaches. If you look at the constellations, stuff like that, or a star, anything like that. He was telling me that it takes 1 million years for that light to get here, and that just blew my mind is what it did.
And that's if it's only 1 million light years away.
Yeah. Yep. And, our real time, it could take 1 million years for the light to get here.
Yes, exactly. Because that's what a light year is.
Yeah, exactly. It was weird. He put me in my place because I was like, oh, yeah, the stars are great. He says, yeah, that was probably pretty good 1 million years ago.
Yep. It is. It is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It demonstrates the distances of space. So, in other words, what's going on now with these higher and higher resolution satellites or telescopes looking out into space is what they're really doing. Think about it. They're looking farther and farther back in time.
Yes, they are.
The farther out they can see, the longer ago it was.
Yes, exactly. So it's a delay. And they're seeing back in time, man. Cool stuff.
All right, we got a lot of space news today. I was amazed by this. Take a look at the next one. All right, NASA has brand new, much more lithe spacesuits than they've had before, much more form-fitting, less bulky, much more manageable and maneuverable. Look at the one on the left. That's the new NASA spacesuit. Look at the one on the right. That's from 2001, A Space Oddity from the late 60s.
Wow,
look how they're virtually identical.
I was waiting for the Major Tom one to be released. But yeah, that is cool. Look at that. That is almost identical. They must have been.
I mean, unless you looked really carefully, you can't. You got to click on it to actually see the whole image. So when you can see the helmet on the 2001 is a little bigger, a little blockier, a little more old-fashioned. Yeah. But really, that's the only visible difference.
Yeah, that's about it too. That very cool. Well, at least they're going to look cooler than they ever have before.
Way cooler, and they'll be in blue. So the astronauts like me with blue eyes, oh boy, they're set.
Oh yeah, they would be. I always envied people with blue eyes. All my kids have blue eyes because my wife has blue eyes, and I'm the only one with brown. But anyhow, that's a whole nother story.
Ooh, that's the way it is in my family, but it's reversed. I have blue, and my wife has brown. our 2 children have blue, and my older 2 children are also blue. So all 4 have blue eyes.
Really?
And now the twins, the grandchildren, blue eyes.
Yeah. Well, it must run in the family.
Clearly it does.
Okay.
All right. So are you getting jazzed? How do you feel about the Rings sequel? Rings.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited. I was a fan of Lord of the Rings anyway. Not Lord of the Rings, but I mean The Ring, rather. The Ring, the horror movie The Ring. I liked them back in the day, and hopefully they come back with something that is going to be super scary. Hopefully it's something that raises the horror bar and just doesn't rely on the same old girl crawling on the TV kind of thing.
Well, we have a trailer now, and we have that up on the old Twitter feed, and it is very creepy. So come on over to @AMHaunted. Check it out. We got the trailer to Rings, and that comes out in only 7 days.
You gonna go see it?
I will definitely see it. I don't know if we'll get out to the movie theater. I don't get to the movie theater that often.
Not anymore. I used to before kids. I was at the movies all the time. But
I know.
Now we have a baby in the house, so we don't get to the theater as much as we used to.
I know.
And so I'm kind of lost now. And I'll have to wait for Blu-ray. And then you feel like, hey, you're at a disadvantage because you're waiting for Blu-ray.
I know. I agree. I love going to the movies. It's a fun experience. I like being there. I like the nice big screen. I like the sound. I like the experience. It's a nice break from reality. And no matter how hard you try, if you're at home, you might be interrupted, right?
Yes.
You could be tempted by your phone or your laptop or
nature,
just whatever, a magazine, nature, the bathroom, whatever the case may be. When you're at the movies, you're really there just to see that, and I like that part of it. But like you say, it's just time, and it's having kids, and now my kids are my youngest kids are deep. Well, one's 17 and one's 13, so they're not really going to kid movies anymore. So they want to go see what they want to go see. My wife and I want to see what we want to see. It's not that often that all 4 of us have the time or agree on the content, so oh well, it's just the way it goes. But eventually I will see Rings. Hey, guess what's back on the air for its 11th season? They run 2 seasons a year, basically.
What's back?
Face Off. Back on Sci-Fi.
See, I've never been, and I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. I've always had a hard time watching that show. How about you? I've had a hard time watching Face Off, along with cosplay stuff. I just have a hard time. It doesn't keep my interest. What
holds my interest, I don't really much care all that much about the whole competition side of it. After a while it all blurs together, and here's another set of 15 people. That's why they've been mixing it up a bit, and they've been bringing back previous contestants or previous winners. They don't just keep cycling through brand new people all the time anymore. They mix it up. But what interests me, what fascinates me, is just the level of artistry that goes into designing.
Oh, it's very
makeups.
cool.
It really is amazing what these people are able to do. And the other thing that's cool about it compared to a lot of these other competition shows is the judges and the guests they have on. These are people at the absolute tip top of the industry. These are Oscar winners. I mean, so it really is the high end that we're seeing, and we're seeing new people coming into the business who are extremely talented, and we're seeing what they can do. And usually, I'm not always that interested in whatever the particular subject is of their makeups, but often I am, because it's usually fantasy or horror, or sci-fi.
Sure.
And, so it's pretty cool in that regard. And, it does. It holds my interest. I'm not to the point where I still watch every single episode of every season, but I catch at least half of them, and I always see the last several because I do like to see who wins and see the finale. So, it has held my attention, even though we're going into, or we've already started, the 11th season. Plus, I got a huge crush on Mackenzie Westmore.
Well, yeah, who doesn't?
I can't imagine anyone not.
Yeah, look at her. Come on.
She's something, man.
Yeah.
Plus, she's very pleasant. She's smart. She's clever.
Yep.
And she's very attractive.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Gotta love the hair. Anyhow.
All right, moving along. Okay, now, we just watched, I don't know what possessed us to do so, but we watched both National Treasure movies.
Those are good movies.
I love those movies because it's combining history with, speculative stuff, with treasure.
And action.
With action and intrigue. What more could you have? And Nicolas Cage?
Yeah, Nick Cage. He has some good movies out there.
He does. Those are two of them, especially the first.
He's a hit and miss actor, but he definitely hit with these ones.
I agree entirely. So, in the real world, though, we saw a version of how the main documents of our national identity, the Constitution, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, we saw a fairly accurate version of how they're kept in the movie. Well, in the real world, we get to see here the actual atomic bomb-proof vault that those are stored in every single evening.
Wow.
And there's lots of cool. It's in Atlas Obscura, of course.
Yeah.
Publication, and it shows how they were made, how the vault was made, and just how unbelievably secure that it is. It's very cool to see.
No one's ever stealing those. I shouldn't say never, but yeah, that would be pretty hard to make off with that.
It really would. All right, moving along, and this is purely coincidental. It's kind of amazing, actually. Another National Treasure related activity here. The very next tweet, there really is a secret room behind Lincoln's hairline at Mount Rushmore. Did you know that?
I did not know that. I've been there several times, Mount Rushmore. And now there was a room. Is it open to the public or no?
No, because it's pretty impossible to get at safely.
Yeah, I'd have to say there's no
Lincoln's
stairway
hairline.
going up to their hairline. But that is so. Is that when they're building it? What's the purpose of the room?
The purpose was it was actually the sculptor wanted it. It was his idea. Now I have heard that they did have ended up, or at least at some point, they did actually store documents. Federal documents in there. I don't know if there's anything in there now.
Okay. Very cool, though. I did not even hear about that.
Secret hidey hole.
Yeah. Huh. Now next summer when I go to Mount Rushmore, I will have to take a peek again and say, hey, I know there's a room over there. And
all right.
Come on, let me in.
Let's mention this briefly. We have both America's Most Haunted and After Hours AM, as well as a whole bunch of selected cool, fun, spooky, horror, funny, like the design we're looking at right here. We got the Raven, and we got Edgar Allan saying, I'm just a po' boy, nobody loves me. He's just a po' boy from a po' family. Get it?
Yeah, I get it.
That's a t-shirt. So if you go to Public, T-E-E, Public, P-U-B-L-I-C, there is a America's Most Haunted store, and everything is on sale. Check it out.
Yeah, do that. Oh, man, I'm going to have to pop over there and order a few things.
You should. There's tees, hoodies, mugs, cases.
That's a great T-shirt right there.
Yeah, that's funny. And everything is 30% off right
now, man. Have fun with that. Buy lots of good stuff.
All right, one of my favorite stores, and we did interview the owner of the store at one point, Dapper.
Oh, that's right.
Dapper. Remember him?
I do.
In Southern California, and of course their big time of year is Halloween, naturally. But that's not all they do. They supply for film and TV and for haunted attractions and all kinds of madness. Look at that picture. That is a sales picture. We have this young woman in a bikini in a bathtub, blood everywhere. Her face is really pasty white.
My Lord.
And she's holding a bloody, beating heart.
Oh.
It's vinyl. It's vinyl.
Well, thank God it's vinyl. It's not a real
and
heart.
it's on sale.
It's on, you too could have that heart.
You can reenact that scene
right
in
there.
your very own bathroom.
In the privacy of your own home.
You can stand there in your bikini.
Or
covered
less.
in
It's
blood,
up to you.
And squeezing your vinyl heart.
To your little heart's content.
To your heart's content. All right. Okay. So the next one we have, back to space, and it's actually the name of this brand new spacecraft. It's called the Gaia, and it's actually from the European Space Agency, the ESA, and it's out there, and it's already found a bunch of new asteroids, which are actually kind of close to us.
Huh.
So we have even more to worry about.
No, we've always had lots to worry about. We're like in a cosmic pool game. We just never know when the cue balls get hit Earth.
You're right. That's a pretty good analogy. Yes, we know the balls are rolling.
Yeah, we're just not sure when we're the one.
And eventually, they will strike the bumper, which is us.
Yep, and go in the corner pocket. That's right.
All right, so were you ever a big Pez fan?
There was a time in my youth that I did, but nothing as cool as I'm looking at here.
Oh, my. You guys, again, you got to get to the Twitter feed, AM Haunted, my friends, and check out the horror line of Pez dispensers.
Yeah.
They are about as cool as it gets. We got a Chucky.
Got Jason
Michael
without
Myers,
his
Jason.
Yeah, without mask, too. That Jason is without the mask.
Unmasked.
Yeah.
We have, Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy.
Leatherface.
Leatherface, that's his name, sorry.
Yeah.
And we have Freddy Krueger.
Yep. Good old Freddy Krueger. You know,
so you can, because think how close you would have to get their heads to your mouth in order to dispense the Pez. So you can get up close and personal. So you could really freak yourself out while you're getting your Pez fix.
Did you know that Robert Englund, he went out, he almost got the role as Han Solo?
You're kidding. No, I did not.
You know who else almost got it? Al Pacino.
Oh, that's just weird.
And then they wanted Sylvester Stallone, but he turned it down because he didn't understand the script.
The concept?
Yeah. Yep.
That's funny.
But, so Harrison Ford was actually their fifth idea.
Well, he was so fresh and new at the time. You know, he knew George Lucas or George Lucas knew him from a small role that he had in American Graffiti.
Yeah. In fact, I just saw him, Harrison Ford, in an episode today of Gunsmoke on TV Land. And boy, did he look young.
Boy, he must have been really young.
He was real young, probably in his early 20s.
Because Gunsmoke was, I don't know, when did that go off the air?
That
60s?
went off the air in mid-70s. And, of course, I'm a Gunsmoke fan. Because that's, growing up, everyone kind of... Did you watch Gunsmoke as a kid?
Sure. Yes, I did.
A lot of people still...
My mother, especially. My grandfather, my dad's mother, and my mother were huge Western fans.
Okay. Well, I happened to catch a Gunsmoke today, and who was the guest star? Harrison Ford. And it was really kind of weird seeing him that young.
Yeah. Well, he's super young in American Graffiti.
Yeah.
And that was George Lucas, So that's how they met, and I imagine he impressed him enough that he was willing to bring him on.
Or he worked under budget.
Yeah, he's like, well, who can we get? Who we have to pay? Nothing.
Yeah. Who'll do it for free?
What's that guy's name? Harry's son?
What? What's his name? We'll just call you Harrison. I can't even pronounce your name. Get in here.
All right, well, we are almost to the top of the hour, and it's going to be an outstanding interview. Just another reminder, we got our weekly reminder. Our good buds, Nick Groff, Katrina Weidman, will be visiting the Statler City Hotel in Buffalo, and I've actually been there.
Really?
It is it's a very elegant place, but it's no longer a functioning hotel. It's just it's an event place. You rent it out for your wedding or whatever. So the places that are not open to the public are very creepy. So you have this weird combination of elegance, public elegance, and then private creepiness. So that's going to be on Paranormal Lockdown tomorrow night.
Everyone likes the private creep. Come on.
Yes.
Well, anyhow.
Creep in private.
Exactly. Private creepy. We got to run to Fox News. We come back. We're going to have Dr. Edwige with us, Bingue, and we are going to talk all things, well, higher consciousness. Don't go anywhere. We're all going to feel better after this. So, again, if you want to feel better, hang out. Enjoy yourself. Learn how you can be more at peace.
Fox News Radio, I'm Kathleen Maloney. President Donald Trump wants to pay for a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border by taxing Mexican imports.
You tax that 50%, $50 billion at 20% of imports, which is, by the way, a practice that 160 other countries do. Right now, our country's policy is to tax exports and let imports flow freely in, which is ridiculous. But by doing it that way, we can do $10 billion a year and easily pay for the wall.
White House spokesman Sean Spicer speaking aboard Air Force One. A controversy over the border wall and how to pay for it has led to the cancellation of a meeting between President Trump and Mexico's president. That meeting was planned for next week. A draft order indicates the Trump administration may be reconsidering enhanced interrogation programs.
The closely held draft would revoke 2 executive orders signed by President Obama in 2009. Under the proposal, overseas terrorist suspects would again be sent to Guantanamo-based detention camps, and interrogations would not be limited by the Army field manual that forbids torture. At the Republican retreat in Philadelphia, House Speaker Paul Ryan and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said the idea was a non-starter.
I believe virtually all of my members are comfortable with the state of the law on that issue now.
And torture's illegal, and torture's not legal. And we agree with it not being legal.
President Trump's spokesman Sean Spicer emphasized to reporters that the draft order was not a White House document.
Fox's Catherine Herridge. TransCanada has submitted a new application to the State Department for approval of the Keystone XL oil pipeline. That project was sidelined by the Obama administration. It would move oil more than 1,000 miles from Alberta to Nebraska, where it would then connect with other lines for refineries along the U.S. Gulf Coast. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I'm 19 years old, and this is how I live united. I've always been kind of a computer geek, and I found a way to use those skills to help the homeless in my community. For people facing hard times, computer skills and a basic resume are so important. It may seem like a small thing, but it makes a huge difference in people's lives. So with United Way, I created a program where I work with the homeless. Together, we go through their whole job history, write a resume, and then save it on their very own USB drive. We provide workbooks and training certificates. I even budgeted for cupcakes so we can celebrate as a class when one of our people gets a job. That's huge. When somebody says, "Hey man, that job that you helped me apply for, I got it." That's what living united feels like to me. My name is Dale Pazinski. I help people achieve financial independence. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
A shakeup on the Border Patrol.
Former Border Patrol Chief Mark Morgan reportedly told agents in a video conference call that he was asked to leave and decided to resign instead of fight to stay on. Just a day after President Trump announced his plans to further the building of a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border, as well as hire more Border Patrol agents. He was only in the position for a few months after leading the Border Patrol's Internal Affairs Office. Prior to that, he was in the FBI. Morgan testified before a Senate committee a couple of months ago that he supported comprehensive immigration reform. After that, in a letter to his agents, he clarified he did not mean he supports blanket amnesty. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Cutbacks could be in the works for the Environmental Protection Agency. The former head of President Trump's transition team says it is reasonable to expect a cut of about $1 billion. The agency's annual budget is around $8 billion. Singer Cyndi Lauper is calling out Madonna for her profanity-laced speech at last weekend's Women's March.
During an appearance on Andy Cohen's Watch What Happens Live, Lauper said she was glad Madonna was there, but
I don't think that it served our purpose because anger is not better than clarity and humanity.
One person she did think made a difference with her speech, Scarlett Johansson. Lauper said the way Johansson shared her story was clear and eloquent. Madge was criticized for her use of vulgar words and saying that she had thought about blowing up the White House, which the 58-year-old claimed her remarks were taken wildly out of context. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
No special accommodations for female Marines in the field at the 1st Gender Integrated Infantry Battalion. The executive officer for 1st Battalion, 8th Marines at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, says the women will be sleeping in makeshift shelters right alongside their male counterparts. I'm Kathleen Maloney, Fox News Radio.
And welcome back to After Hours AM, the only show that will bring you guidance and peace tonight. Well, I'm your host, Joel Sturgis.
Tonight, anyway.
Well, tonight. Normally, we're down, gloom, killers, true crime, anal probing aliens.
Shadow person coming to eat your face.
That's right, zombies. You get it all here, but tonight, we're shifting gears because all of us need to just chill. Well, anyhow, I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, right along with me,
Eric Olsen.
Eric, we have a great guest tonight.
We do. I am really actually very excited. As Joel was saying earlier, we don't that often veer off into the metaphysical or to the really broadly speaking New Age. I mean, nothing pejorative about that at all. But when we do, we kind of pick and choose, and we look for people who are really rock solid, who really have something special about them. And I think that person is Dr. Edwige. She is a light body mentor, spiritual advisor, author, and speaker. Dr. Edwige's spiritual journey began at the early age of 12 when she was often visited by benevolent beings of light. Little did she know what was to come. During that adventure, they took her flying among the stars, landing on a bridge, and diving into the depths of the ocean. She was shown what came into this existence with fourth-dimensional consciousness, that she was a child of the stars and could move through time and space at will, knowing that life on Earth was but a short stop on her path to mastery. Then one winter day in 2004, the calling came. It was time to begin the process of awakening to her soul's purpose. She discerned that it was her destiny to be a bridge between heaven and earth. Dr. Edwige discovered she was gifted by divine source the ability to clear energies that are blocking the flow of someone's higher self from moving fully into one's third-dimensional body and consciousness. Her skills enable her to raise a person's vibration and frequency and to activate one's light body by triggering codes deep within that person's DNA. The light body activation that she performs restores a person's individual divine blueprint. Prior to all of this, Edwige's lifelong dream was to be a singer, and she accomplished that with performances at Madison Square Garden and, holy cats, the 1998 Super Bowl. On top of it all, she has put all of her experiences and thought and guidance into a book. You're Not Crazy, You're Awakening. Welcome to the program, Dr. Edwige.
Well, hello, and thank you.
Wow, I don't feel like...
You read really well, by the way.
I do, don't I? I didn't stumble one time.
You mean you didn't come up with all that off the top of your head there, Eric? I thought you did.
My eyes closed in my light body.
The only thing I could ask, the only thing I wanted to ask is when they took you into the ocean, did you guys go see the Titanic? And if you did, were the swimming pools still full?
Nothing like that. I went swimming with the dolphins and the whales. It was,
okay. I was going to ask if the swimming pools still had water in them.
Oh my God, this is going to be
I'm
crazy.
on the bottom of the world. I mean,
okay.
Well, you know, I guess in the intro was so thorough, and Eric, thank you again.
Thorough.
It was a very thorough intro. The book is really, really an interesting read, and
very thorough.
Very, very thorough. I got to ask you, what prompted you to want to? I know the intro kind of went into it, but what really was the pivotal moment, that you decided that, hey, I need to write this book and get it out for the masses?
So, that's a good question because I was a singer, right? And that's what I did for a living for many, 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 many moons. But I was in a car accident back in 2004. That's where that was that fork in the road.
Mm-hmm.
And I went into the light, and my life didn't flash before me, but I was literally hovering in light. And it was a beautiful, loving space. And I heard a voice say, "You are here to bring him into the light." And upon the second impact, because I was rear-ended at over 100 miles an hour, by the way.
Oh, boy.
While I was parked on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I came back into my body, and I'm like, okay. And then all of these experiences started to happen as an adult, even though I had them as a child at 12 years old being visited by that being. But now as an adult, things started to happen. So, I'm like, okay, questioning what's going on. And I started to read metaphysical material. I started to go to workshops and listen to people speak. And at one of those events, a stranger walked up to me and said, "Are you writing yet?" And I said, "No, I don't write. I sing for a living."
Yeah.
And I just ignored it. Months later, I'm at another event, and another stranger walks up to me and says, "They want you to know you are loved. Are you writing yet?" And I said, "Well, thank them for loving me. And no, I don't write." Literally, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Months later, I'm on the phone, and someone channels a message and says, "It's in your blueprint. You're supposed to write." So after the third time, I'm like, okay, fine. Now what am I writing? And they said, and it was all of these experiences, and all as an adult, all of the visitations and the things that started to happen. So I just started to journal everything, and before I knew it, there was a book.
Well, if someone walks up to me and says, "You need to write," I'd look at them much like you and say, "Are you nuts? I talk for a living. I don't write."
Yeah, I don't write.
And so I would be right where you are. And of course, did you find once you did start writing, did it flow naturally? Was it as if it was meant to be?
The experiences, I would have one like every 10 days. Okay. Literally, they started somewhere around 2006.
Yeah.
And I watched my light body descend into me September of 2012. So that's what I journaled, all of those experiences. So the writing of the experiences, that was easy because it was like I put on 3D glasses and I could see this stuff, beings coming into my room with my eyes closed or my eyes open. So it's like, okay. And I would just get up and write it down or record it. So that part was easy. Then putting it together and making sense of it, right? And understanding what I gained from those different experiences and what was going on. I actually hired a mentor, a writing mentor. And I'm like, okay, how do I write a book?
Yeah, I'd be right with you right there. Well, Eric here, my co-host, he's a very accomplished writer, and I'd be all over him. Okay, Eric, I was told I have to write. Tell me how to write. And he's seen me write before. It's a lot like a caveman on a wall. So, we leave the writing to him.
Well, Dr. Edwige, really your process, that is the way to do it. You just kind of get it all down, and as the inspiration strikes you, and write it down. Don't really worry too much about structure. Don't worry about the writerly aspects of it. Just kind of get it all down, because that's what counts. That's your content. Then you go back and you rewrite. A lot of what learning to write is learning to rewrite, and it's learning to edit yourself, and it's realizing that just because you put it down doesn't mean it's golden.
Exactly. It's not necessarily worthy of printing, right? But you just get it out.
It's a lot like editing, is what you guys are saying. You keep some, you take some out. Like I do for audio stuff, I would pick and choose what stays in sometimes. Now, I got to ask you, Dr. Edwige, was it more like an astral projection when they would come and you would go with them, or you'd leave your physical body, right? And it was like an astral projection.
So many different things happened. So let me go back to when it started. I was 12 years old, and as a little kid, 6, 7 years old, I could see ghosts, spirits. It was no big deal. The hallway light would be on, and I'd wake up to go to the bathroom, and someone would be standing in the hallway. I'd walk around them and go to the bathroom. So that was just normal for me to see. But now, 12 years old, I'm laying in bed sleeping, and I feel the presence of a being actually trying to get my attention. So I wake up, and there at the foot of my bed is this tall being of light. He wasn't human, a ghost. He was a benevolent being of light. And a big difference. And I'm like, okay. And the next thing I knew, I was out of my bed, hovering above me, looking at me sleeping, but very aware that I'm hovering above me, watching me, and that I'm awake. But I'm awake, looking at me in bed, laying there sleeping.
Were you terrified when that was going on?
No, I thought it was the coolest
thing.
thing.
Okay, because I would be afraid. I'd be going, what?
Well, I wasn't even scared of the ghost at a younger age.
Well,
so
you walked right around me. I'd be peeing myself if I saw a ghost in my hallway. I'd probably piddle a little bit, run away.
No, because my parents were so open. Yeah. You know, my mom's was a Rosicrucian back then. And so I remember those green little pamphlets coming in, and she'd be reading and meditating, and us kids knew to be quiet. Mama's meditating, right? So we always had these conversations that there's something beyond this. So it was just normal. And she could see ghosts too. So it was no big deal because we could see. So this being, I went out. The first time I went out the bedroom window, went flying in the stars, and it felt real. I didn't feel like it was a dream. And when I landed back in bed, I would hit the bed so hard that I would pop back up in bed and be awake. So that's what was going on as a child. Now as an adult, now that's when it got wild. I remember a still point of light coming into my room, and it was so bright that I woke up and I could still see it. And I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And it stops right in front of my face. I closed my eyes, I could see it. I opened my eyes, I could see it. It turned into pictures. And I'm like, what the heck was that? And I heard a voice say, testing. I'm like, what the heck are they testing? 10 days later, a still point of violet light comes in. And now this thing looks like an eye, like a pineal gland with literally electrical currents coming off of it, and it starts to pulse.
Okay.
And all I could think was, this is going to ignite, and I hope it doesn't hurt. And it grew faster and faster and faster, and exactly it did that. It ignited, it sparked. I shut my eyes really fast because the burn was so intense, and that just opened everything up. From that point, things would come into the room, hug me. I could feel the embrace. I'd open my eyes, and an orb would be leaving the room. They'd come in, and they'd sit on the bed, and I could feel the bed move. So it was very hands-on.
Yeah.
I could see them with my eyes open, with my eyes closed. I could hear them. I could feel them.
Well, yeah, because the pineal gland, if I'm not mistaken, many theorize it's responsible for psychic and healing energies. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I call it like the antenna to,
Sure.
up above. Right?
Sure. And well, you're also a healer, I see. I mean, you know, and so we're going to get into that here in a minute, but we'll get into that more in depth later, but when did the healing work come about, and was these visits, was the catalyst for you to heal?
Wake up.
Right?
Yeah.
To do your Reiki, your Reiki stuff, and your non-touch healing, and all those different things. Now, but I like your intro to the book. You know, you're waking up. I mean, you're not crazy. You're waking up.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of people that come to you that think they're going nuts? That they're having a lot of the same things happen, and they go, "Oh my God, I'm going crazy."
Think about it, Joel.
Okay.
If you hear outside voice, there's no one in the room. Okay, let me give you an example. This was like 2011. My husband and I actually had an alkaline water store, wellness center. And as I parked in front of it one day, got a flat tire, and I was annoyed by the tire. He had to come and change it, and on and on. Anyway, later on, the wee hours of the morning, I'm home alone because he was in LA at that time, and I hear an outside voice say, disconnect from an uneven temper. Well, I jumped up. I'm like, who the heck is that?
Yeah.
And I hear the voice say it again, disconnect from an uneven temper. And I'm like, oh, the way I behaved over a flat tire. And then the voice said, love is all there is. So you see, when you start to awaken and you hear outside voices and there's no one that you can see, or there's an inside voice and it doesn't sound like your voice, or you're seeing things that you shouldn't be able to see, you begin to question yourself. So in this process, I have had thousands, and I do mean thousands, of clients from all around the world that I'm able to tap into, clear their blocks, activate codes within them. And yes, there are lots of them who feel like they're losing it, and you're not losing it. It's just a part of the process of awakening. Sure. And what are you awakening to? You're awakening to that you are truly a divine creature, a divine being here on planet Earth, a learning planet, to experience self, right? That the divine is in you, operating as you, and that's it. And this is an experience, a learning school for you to expand and begin to transmute and let go of all those things that you've taken on all these lifetimes, thinking yourself to be less than the divine being that you are, and to tap back into who you truly are and to remember that. And as you begin to remember that, that causes expansion, and that's what we're here for.
Wow. That
in a nutshell.
Yeah, in a nutshell. What went through my head when you were talking about the voices. Who is that talking to you? Is it the consciousness of? Well, let's just throw it up,
so
a god,
many
or
aspects of this. Because think about it, you are a multidimensional being, so there's you at higher levels of your existence that can begin to communicate with you, and then there are your guides, whether it be a spirit of a departed loved one or dimensional beings. There's all sorts of levels of communication going on once you pass this idea that everything is real and solid and only here in this third dimension. When you can get past that and understand that there are higher dimensions of existence, and when you can expand your consciousness to that, then they can communicate with you.
What I'm really interested in, beyond everything you just said, of course, in all of this, the reality of that, because I have had inklings, nothing like you've had, but I've had inklings of those very same feelings, and that the largeness and the being in touch with the universe, and that suddenly all of that which is illusion drops away, and I feel at one with the entire universe, and that I do have a larger presence and a larger purpose. It's been kind of a long time since I have felt that at the deepest levels. That was mostly when I was a child. But what I wanted to try to get at the moment right now, besides you telling me how I can get back to having those feelings again, because I miss them deeply, and I want to have that feeling again because it's awe-inspiring, and it is a very joyful and relaxing kind of feeling. It takes away a lot of the tension of this particular existence. But what I'm interested in at the moment is, how did you come up with the theoretical framework for all that? Because it's all rather specific and it's very detailed. So how did you piece all that together to hang all these experiences on?
It just guidance, Again, that inner knowing, that inner voice. And what happens as you expand your consciousness, the knowing is just there. And I don't know how else to describe it. The knowing is just there.
Yeah, well, you're not the first one to say that. We actually have a guest, a psychic medium that comes on, and is Armand Ajiti is his name, and he is really skilled at what he does, and he has mentioned the knowing, just the knowing. He doesn't really put a name on it other than just the knowing. And when you try to pin him down on what the knowing is, he says it's everything.
It's everything.
It's like,
and
dude,
it's almost like you're tapped into this. Oh gosh, how do I even describe it? There's this pool, like a bowl of consciousness, and you're just tapped into it, and you don't even have to think. You just have to open your mouth, and it flows out through you. I mean, for lack of a better way of describing it, I'll even have, sometimes I'll go on a different show or something, and someone will ask me a question, and, it's some personal information about them, and I don't have a clue what the answer is until they're done asking the question, and then all of a sudden I open my mouth and it's flowing, and I'm like, oh, it's coming from here, and you had this issue, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whoa, okay.
Would you qualify yourself as having psychic ability as well?
Psychic, I would say there's a knowing, and I would say a clairvoyance, and just, intuitive, and it's pretty spot on most of the time.
Yeah, so you're not reading people tell them where grandma's treasure is buried.
No.
You're more of a tapping into who they are on a vibrational level.
Correct.
Okay.
And understanding, for example, if someone connects with me and I do some work on them, I'm able to go in and start to clear their blocks and help to reprogram those old programs. And I actually have my doctorate in, I wrote my thesis on how to reprogram the subconscious. Okay, so I really get into helping you to get off autopilot and to get into those deeply seated programs that are not serving you. So when I tap into somebody, I can see where the block is. So for example, if it's an inner child issue, I might be able to see what age that seed actually went in, what it looks like, if it came from your parents or where it came from, and actually bring it up. You may not even remember, and all of a sudden you're remembering it. It's really interesting how it happens, and able to clear it.
How painful is it for people when you do find something like the inner child? I mean, is it usually a painful experience that's kind of stunted their growth as individuals, and where they're kind of locked in that autopilot state?
Yeah, it's all sorts of things, and there's everything from abuse to not feeling worthy to whatever has happened.
Yeah.
So there'll be a lot of tears for those who have those issues, especially when there's abuse and different stuff like that that's happened and they've repressed it, right? And it needs to come up to be released. And so, it just depends.
Is abuse the number one, would you say, thing that's roadblocks somebody from moving forward?
And that's interesting. And I wouldn't necessarily say a physical abuse as much as it's an emotional abuse.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't feel worthy, don't feel valued, feel invisible,
Yeah.
I'll even have, when I'm working on someone and I start to clear chakras, I'll get to their throat, and oh my gosh, when I'm working on you, I can feel all the resistance. My body starts to shake, and I'm like, whoa, okay, there's resistance here, and then the picture is painted, and I can see where the resistance is coming from.
Okay.
So a lot of times, children are to be seen and not heard type energy, right?
Sure.
Especially the older generations. And so there's that block there that they're still not able to speak their truth. And so there's all sorts of resistance. And so we'll start to work on that. So it just really depends on where it's coming from. Then there might be something that's an off-planet program. I mean, there's just so much stuff.
I got to ask you, though.
Impacting you.
I got to ask you. And because I know I'll get an email or someone ask me about this and listen to the show. How many times, and whether you believe it or not, whether you buy into it, how many times is it something like demon possession that is oppressing that you run into?
Yeah. And I tell you, I try to pass them on to other people that I know. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's something dark here. But yeah. Every now and then, someone will find me and say, I was told you can clear, and there's this demon energy, or there's a curse. And I'm like, oh my, you were told to contact me? Okay.
Gee, thanks.
And my I am presence, that higher part of me takes over and is able to capture and clear it and remove it from them. I'm in shock as I observe.
Well, I was going to say, you would think that, something quote unquote demonic, because I think demons come in many, many forms, but a traditional demonic entity would fight you like you never believed, because they don't want to leave. They're there for a reason.
Exactly. And I really, in my experience, I haven't had a fight per se. They've been stubborn, but I call in assistance from the higher realms.
Sure.
And they are surrounded, they're captured in like an orb of light and taken out. Ooh, but confirmation.
Is there any chance that once you've taken them out, they can come back looking for you because they're angry that you ruined their plans? Because that has a frequent guest is Bishop James Long. I'm sure you've heard of Bishop, and he's talked about them seeking retribution once they know who you are. Any fear of that?
And knock on wood, that's not been my experience as of yet. But the other thing too, I really do my best to not attract those people who have those issues.
Sure.
In the years that I've been doing this, I probably have had 3.
Oh, okay.
That's not my expertise.
It's
that
not.
I deal with.
Yeah, you're not Demonic Wednesday or anything at your shop. Hey,
I'm like, let me just clear some stuff. Let me turn on some light codes. Let me bring in your light body. I've done that stuff, you know.
Okay.
But that other stuff, it's like if someone sends me an email, it's like, okay, I'm going to refer you to someone who they don't mind working with that.
Yeah, exactly. Very well put. Very well said. We got to run a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Dr. Edwige. When we come back right after this, very interesting stuff. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at Motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Anavar Media LCC is a dedicated team of professionals committed to helping business development scale and protect their websites, mobile applications, enterprise software solutions in the Northeast Ohio area. Locally owned since 2012, our client-centered values truly sets Anavar apart. Contact us today to learn how you can get 25% off your first project. Call them at 234-380-4852. Again, that's 234-380-4852, or visit them at www.anavar.com. Again, that's www.anavar.com.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting.
Location.
My backyard.
Oh, your backyard. Try telling a bear that.
I did, and this bear talked back.
Talking bear, that's rich.
No, wait, it was Smokey Bear.
Smokey? Why didn't you say so?
I did say so.
Continue.
I was burning yard waste.
No, boy.
He told me to burn legally and responsibly, and to remember that if it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave.
And as always, he's right. You know, 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
Yeah, I know that now.
Thanks to me.
Actually, thanks to Smokey.
As usual, the talking bear gets all the credit. Get your Smokey on. Always burn responsibly and contact your local fire department for open burning regulations. Because 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at smokeybear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Do you have a question for our guest tonight? Don't feel like calling the show? Not a problem. Email those questions to afterhoursam@gmail.com. Again, that's afterhoursam@gmail.com.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm the host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is my talented and awesome co-host.
I guess that's me, Eric Olsen.
That's right. And we are talking with Dr. Edwige tonight. And wow, she has blown the doors off me. I mean,
what a life.
What a life. What a message. And Eric, I know you're equally as interested in this stuff. And
absolutely.
What do you think? I know you've done a lot of research yourself in this stuff.
Well, as I had said earlier, I small elements of this I have actually experienced, and it was more when I was a kid. And what I would do was, there were nights when I would just lay back in bed, and I could feel my mind expanding and expanding kind of out of my brain, out of my body. And in essence, filling up the entire universe so that I became the universe. Now, naturally, this was all very subjective to a child. It wasn't that I was sitting there objectively realizing all this and discussing it with myself. I was just experiencing it. But the feeling that I would have is of being pulled out of myself, of realizing that I was just here on a temporary basis, almost exactly what Dr. Edwige said, that this life is a learning experience, it's a training experience, it's a actualization experience. And so whatever trials and tribulations I may be going through at any given time, and certainly also including the loss of loved ones, because that's always been something that's really bothered me. I know obviously it bothers everyone, but I had a few real important losses, basically grandparents, as a child. And this feeling, knowing that I could get back to that feeling and that being one with the universe and the feeling of kind of being pan-universe really helped me get through some of the grief and then just the everyday trials and tribulations. Now, I don't really remember the last time that I embodied the experience. I can recall the experience. I can describe the experience. But it's been many years. In fact, I'm sure it's been decades since I actually lived that experience. So I would love to get back to that point. But having gone through that, I very much can relate to what much of Dr. Edwige is saying. One of the things that keeps coming up, and it seems to be kind of a core aspect of your philosophy and of your healing and whatnot, is this concept of a light body. Could you explain what a light body is, please?
Absolutely. And Eric, you said so much. So, my dad, I was 18 when my dad transitioned out. And I tell you, about 2 weeks after he passed, he walked into my bedroom. Yeah. And I was blown away to be able to see my dad after he transitioned and to have that connection. So I so understand that we so miss our loved ones, but they are just in another dimension. You know?
Yeah.
And actually my room, the heat had turned off and the room was too cold. And he walked right into the room and said, "Get up and go upstairs. It's too cold for you down here. You'll get sick." And I'm like, okay. Right? And I went upstairs, and moments after I got into bed upstairs, he sat in the bed. And I could feel him sit there.
Well, think about
now,
that, though.
I was 18 when he did that. And about 6 or 7 years ago, he came through and visited with me again. And it was just so amazing to have that connection. And even my grandmother, who I absolutely adored, oh my gosh, my grandmother has visited me. So, yeah, when we can expand our consciousness, then we can still have those experiences with those loved ones, knowing that they are still near. The key to it, I think, and I'll get into the light body, is really beginning to do the work to remember, to go into meditation. I know one of the earlier beings as an adult after the car accident was a Syrian woman, and she came to me and said, "We are ready to teach you meditate." And I started meditating every day. And from that point, about 3 months into meditating every single day, in fact, twice a day, all of a sudden I could see an eye looking back at me. And it was the all-knowing, all-seeing eye. And I would come out of meditation with the biggest grin on my face, and my husband would look at me like, "What were you just doing? I mean, you should see your face. You got this biggest smile." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, dear, if I could tell you what I'm seeing." And yeah, it was just the coolest thing, right? To begin to be able to connect with the higher realms. So your light body is this multi-dimensional vehicle, literally, that plugs into you and then allows for your Godhead, your I am presence, to move in. So, you guys, I've heard this word, ascension, awakening, all this stuff. And it's absolutely real. We've heard, the end of the Mayan calendar, 2012, and all that we've moved into the Aquarian age. Well, there's so much truth to all that's going on. And so what does this look like? We are here because we have an opportunity, believe it or not, that's fine with me, but we have an opportunity to end this incarnating into 3D and to actually return to the higher dimensions from whence we came. But how do we do that? We have to awaken, and we actually have to do this thing called ascension, which is 7 different initiations that one goes through. Mastery of the physical, mastery of the emotional body, the mental body, then the sweet surrender of it all, and then beginning to actually activate higher aspects of yourself. That's what the process looks like. So in this process, you're clearing, you're letting go, and you are turning things on within you. Electrical circuitry and things within you are beginning to turn on. And as you do that and clear and raise your vibration, you have to sustain these higher vibrations. As that happens, then the Kundalini begins to activate, and all of these different things, more chakras turn on, junk DNA turns on. And as these things all calibrate and start to stay on, and you're able to sustain this higher vibration, right? Then this electromagnetic part of you that's way up above you will actually literally move into you. And let me tell you, I actually have a picture on my website of me bilocating. And that's because all of those higher chakras, those chakras above my head, the 12th, the 13th, all these higher chakras are all on, and my I am is in. And there is a picture of me bilocating on my site.
Wow.
It's wild. Someone took it on their cell phone. I was at an event 2013, and they just picked up their phone to capture me standing there, you know, the lady standing around the table. And she sends it to me, and I open up the text, and there's this picture, and I'm like, there's 2 of me. I'm bilocating.
Sure. Well, what is your website if listeners want to go there right now and take a look at that picture? What is the website? Where can they find that, rather?
Okay. And you guys need to go to it and take a look. Dr. Edwige, and that's DREDWIGE.com. Dr. Edwige.
Yep. So everyone visit that. Take a look at the picture.
It's the coolest thing.
Well, you know, there's something that I was kind of mulling around in my head, you know, because anything new takes time to master. Yes. And a lot of us are very eager to want to go further, faster, quicker. There are any dangers of going too fast? I mean, could you...
You don't want to go quicker. In fact, I got a call from an associate today. In her head, she had this migraine headache. And I said, well, it's because your consciousness is expanding. And because you're not used to this energy of this expansion, it's causing this pain. And so I was bringing the energy in to help ease that discomfort. If you understand in this process of awakening and ascension that our physical bodies are actually going with us. Before, in the other golden ages, you transitioned out and you went in the non-physical. This time around, folks, we are going in the physical. And it is not for the meek of heart, because these bodies are being worked on, and it can be painful. And if your consciousness, you know, if you can't accept it, then you're going to shut down, and you're only going to do damage and harm to yourself. You know, look, Eric, you had experiences as a child, right? And yet you're no longer having those experiences. And so, of course, life shuts us down. And so it's about easing back into it. It's the awareness that something, right? Something is possible. So there's the possibility that these things are real. So you then slowly begin to expand your consciousness. You start to meditate. You start to, you know, use mantras and chanting and become mindful of your thoughts and being very aware that you're the creator of your experiences. And all of these things, as you begin to expand in consciousness, your awareness, your awakening, your mindfulness, and then tap into it and meditate every day, then you're going to start to have these experiences.
Well, reading your book, though, and I don't mean to get in there and jump all over you here or walk on you, but the biggest thing for me and most of us listening would be letting the junk go, and especially the chapter in changing your thought process.
It's a big thing.
That would be, for most of us, a very hard thing.
Yeah, it is.
You know, because we have lived this life, well, all of our lives. And of course, if I'm understanding what you're telling me, the higher self, the higher consciousness is actually our natural state. For whatever reason in this world, what we're told, the way we act, what we are told is reality, all figures into why we do not, channel that already, each and every one of us. So basically we have to go back, relearn everything, and then come out swinging, if you will, and do it. But how do you change the thought process? What's the small things you can do first, the baby steps?
Yeah, and you're so absolutely right, because it's all about the programming. And so the baby step, the first thing I would use is that word autopilot. Everyone, most people are on autopilot. They eat the same favorite food Tuesday night. They got their favorite beer. They got their favorite baseball cap, right? Your pictures with your baseball cap on, right?
Yep.
You got all these things that you drive the same way to work every day. All of these things, that's all autopilot. And so to become mindful is to break that. And we're also overly stimulated. This is an extreme society, extreme sports, extreme this, extreme deodorant, extreme everything. So it's like, okay, moderation. Let me move myself to this here and now moment where I focus on what is it that I'm doing right here, right now. Let me put my senses into this. So I'm not going to let my mind wander to my task, my list of things I need to accomplish tomorrow. I'm not going to worry about that. Life is in this present moment. Yes?
Is there a certain part of us, a higher part of us, that's actually addicted to the stimulant? And that's why we seek it out?
Well, that's the ego part.
Okay. Because I was going to say, everybody seeks out the entertainment, the stimulant. Everybody has a smartphone now, and what are we doing most times during the day? Mess with our smartphones.
Yeah.
It's like there's never a moment where we just sit back, look up,
chill.
And just chill and hear that inner voice start to talk to you.
And that's the key. And so it's about you starting to disconnect from the outside stimuli and beginning to reconnect to the inside voice, the inside you. And so it's about the meditation. It's about going for a walk in the quiet. It's about when you're waking up in the wee hours of the morning and your brain's you're in alpha brain waves, to start to have a positive conversation with yourself, or a mantra or an affirmation. All of life now comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. It's about you beginning to set intentions, and instead of living on default where you get what you get because you're programmed and, well, that's how it's been, that's how it's always going to be, to stop that. And if you would pay attention to everything you do. So right now, okay, how do I describe this? Every activity that you do, I want you to set a clear intention for what the outcome is to be. So if you're going grocery shopping, as I'm driving to the grocery store, I get there with grace and ease. Okay, I've set that clear intention. Now I'm in the grocery store and I'm picking up those things. So I'm going to set an intention that I find everything that I need with ease, that by the time I'm ready to check out, the cashier is going to be there waiting for me and there's no line. As I'm driving there, I'm going to get every green light and I'm doing it with ease. So every activity, I set a clear intention because I live with intention and not on default.
Now, doesn't intention set the pace for our lives?
Well, who do you know that's living with clear intention in every moment of what they're doing?
Oh, nobody, but we put intention out to the universe. Our intention of what we want to do, what we want to accomplish is what I mean, and whether we know it or not, those intentions are what drives us.
However, you get what you vibrate to, right? What you vibrate to is what is a match to you. So if you have an intention and you're not clear with that intention, you're not at a vibrational match to what that is, then it cannot return to you. Because everything is vibration and energy. And so my thoughts need to be clear and concise, and it's going to go out to that field of potential, and it's going to then hit it and bounce back to me, that which is a match to me. But that's the law of attraction. However, there also is the law of gratitude, the law of love, the law of reciprocation. There's all these other laws. There's like 101 universal laws and laws of nature. So you have to be in harmony with it for it to actually begin to work out and work for your best and highest good. You see, and the moment you say, okay, I'd like a brand new red car, and then I say, oh, in the next breath, but I really can't afford it, you've canceled it out. And people do that. They're asked for something, which is one vibration, one frequency, and because it doesn't show up in a quick enough fashion, then they start to have negative thoughts around it, and they cancel it out.
Gotcha.
Or they, right?
They allow their perceived reality to interfere with their intentions of
Correct.
vibration.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, again, everyone that's just tuning in, we are talking with Dr. Edwige, and she wrote a great book. You're Not Crazy, You're Awakening is the book title. And, of course, you're going to have to want to pick up a copy of this because I'm telling you, I've learned a lot in reading this. And quite honestly, I found out that my inner child is a little jerk. That's why I come to the conclusion, too. But that's why we do radio because, he's a little jerk. I tell you, if I let him run around, he'd run amok. But finding we talked about intention. Mm-hmm. How do you find your intention?
The reality of this is the more that you get still and ask your inner self for the guidance and to show you, the more the truth of who you are will be revealed to you. And it's based on that inner self and that inner connection and then to that light. And it's not based on the perception of the program and what media and all of this is telling you. So the more that you can get still and quiet and tap into yourself, the more the truth of who you are is revealed to you. And that's the thing. So again, back to in the wee hours of the morning when you are in alpha brain waves to start to set clear intentions, or when you go to bed at night, you're in delta or, brain waves, these theta brain waves. Give yourself suggestions. Start to use the sleep state to help you to expand, to pay attention to your dreams. What are they trying to show you? So it really is about you becoming conscious, right? You have to become conscious to awaken consciously. So it's about you becoming conscious of all that you think, say, and do, all of the stimuli around you, what you're feeling. It's like tap in with yourself throughout the day. And if you're feeling good, if you feel that you've accomplished something, that your intentions are clear and they're coming back to you the way you want them, then you're having good thoughts. If you're hitting every red light, that morning cup of coffee didn't help, your boss is yelling at you, your spouse is yelling, and nothing seems to be in the flow, then stop, because you're having thoughts that are leading you there. So clear those thoughts, clear those emotions, have a new, better thinking thought, and then set a new, better feeling intention, and then continue the day. So stop living on autopilot, stop living through default, and begin to pay attention consciously throughout the day of how you feel.
Wow. Man, that is deep stuff right there. I don't mean to be.
I'm sorry. I'm leaving the show 9 minutes early to go begin a new life.
I'm not trying to sound like, wow, that's cool. No, but that really is. That is.
Here I go.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I'm out of here, guys. This radio gig, I just decided it's not for me. I will see y'all later. I'm gonna go down to Mexico and hang out and live on the beach.
Hello. Can I join you?
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna become beach bums. But Eric, man, I mean, you talked about.
I wanted to ask. I realized it's cheating. So the short version, because I've already heard you, so I know it's long. The short version of how I could get back to those experiences. How would you counsel me? What should I do?
All right. So the first thing is the intention. So you've made that clear. You've stated your truth that you want to get back to how that used to be and how you felt when you were expanding into nothingness, into all that is. So the first thing is start to meditate. It's that simple. Get quiet. Turn everything off. Get quiet and meditate. If you can only be still and meditate for 10 minutes at a time, that's fine. That's something. And, listen to some beautiful, quiet, meditative music that has binaural beats or different, brainwave going through the music frequencies. And listen to that and build up to 30 minutes a day and just sit. And that alone will start you expanding your consciousness and getting you back to where you want to be. Meditation.
But,
all right.
But again, it's baby steps, right? You just don't jump into it and go, I'm going to start my new life today. And it's got to be
steps.
Yeah.
It's the awareness, right?
Yeah.
And then it's really then just deciding, what does that look like for me? And since you don't know in this moment, then you go and you meditate and you ask, begin to show me what that looks like, and allow that inner guidance, that inner knowing to start to nurture it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a seed, plant that seed within yourself and nurture it and allow it to expand and grow.
Okay. Very, very cool. I'm really enjoying this. Unfortunately, our hour is almost up. We only got about 5 minutes left. You want to tell the audience where they can find out more, how they can get your book, where they can contact you at, all that kind of good stuff.
Very cool. So again, my website is Dr. Edwige, and that's DREDWIGE.com. You can find my book on my website, or you can go to Amazon. It's there as well. You're not crazy. You're awakening.
I like that title. I like that a lot. In fact, when we were first discussing the show, that's what kind of grabbed both Eric and I. You're not crazy. You're awakening.
You're awakening.
And
it's so true.
Yeah. Really, it is. It's truer than either one of us thought going into it. But, as far as healings go, and you heal a lot of people, what is the biggest, I suppose this is a hard question because, not one size fits all, but what's the biggest ailment you fix? Physical ailment, sicknesses. What's the top 10 list? What's your top 5?
Oh my gosh, there's just so many different things. I don't even think I could have a top 10. The best thing I like is helping a person connect to their higher self and them actually being able to see their higher self. That's just amazing. But I've helped people who have had pain.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Just all sorts of different.
Well, yeah, because I know the biggest thing,
bringing them into balance.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say because the biggest thing, of course, out there is heart disease, cancer, things like that. Now we had a show, and I forget the gentleman's name, Eric, and shame on me, that talked about vibrational healing. That when you raise, much like what you're talking about, to a certain vibration, your body will naturally heal itself in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
And that's something that
basically what I do is just clear the gunk, like the chapter in the book says, clear the gunk, so that, because if your glass is full, we can't put new in it. So we have to clear all of the old first, and then we can fill it with more light.
Yeah, we're all still full of gunk. We really are.
And that gunk, so that the audience knows, that's the old programming. That's that little inner child, right? Or that ego saying, you're not worthy, you're not good enough. What do you think you are? You're not deserving of that, $200,000 a year job. What are you talking about? You deserve to drive around in that raggedy car. Or all of those different things. You don't deserve to be successful or happy or this. That little inner monkey that wants to tell you what you're not worthy of. Well, that's the stuff you have to get rid of, because you're worthy of anything that you could possibly imagine for yourself. You get to choose the experience that you deserve and want.
And that sure seems to be a theme with most people, is we're self-sabotaging.
Yep, big time.
We're our own worst enemy, and that's just, even when I talk to people on radio that go, I can never do what you do, I wish I could, do this and talk that way, and it's easy. I tell them it's easy. It's like falling up a log for me. Yeah, but you've done that No, anyone can do it. Anybody can do what I do as long as you want it bad enough. And that's with everything in life.
That's with everything. I mean, that's like me. I earned a living singing. How many people have done that, where you've actually had really cool gigs on the Strip in Vegas and showrooms, and that's what you did every day. You went in and you sang. I'm like, okay, I can do this. But it took work, it took auditioning, and it took me not caring about the no's to get to a yes, because I believed in myself and my talent.
Exactly. I mean, could you imagine Eric singing at the Super Bowl?
Well, I can imagine it now because I'm talking to someone who's done it.
There you go. And I have the pictures to prove it. And I actually still have my halftime pass.
Well, we are just about done here. And I really want to thank you for coming on the show,
Yeah, great
Doctor.
show.
Very, very interesting stuff. Really enjoyed it, and really learned a lot. And I'm really, for the listeners, of course, again, we also get a lot of downloads via podcast. if you got any questions, you can contact the good doctor directly, of course, at her website, and don't hesitate to do that. And get her book, and you can get they can get your book at Barnes and Noble, I'm sure, and Amazon, and all those normal locations, right?
All those normal places.
All right, sounds good. Well, everyone, take care of each other, love each other, and look for your higher consciousness. Until next time, this is Joel Sturgis, Eric Olsen, signing off. Thank you for listening to this edition of After Hours AM, and please remember to like us on Facebook and also follow us over on Twitter.